done in the last 24 hours. As far as the big breakthrough came, and a thaw in the ties and a significant improvement between India and US relations, and this trade deal, interim trade deal announcement that has now come across, the White House seems to have retracted key changes it had quietly made to its own fact sheet on the US-India trade deal after the edits diverged from the officially released joint statement between the two countries. Now, a newer version comparison that shows that the fact sheet was altered late on the 9th of February, introducing language that appeared to expand India's trade commitments. Now, the changes were later removed without any public acknowledgement. So what were those changes? Now, on the 9th of February, the White House fact sheet introduced notable edits. Phrases like certain pulses was added to the list of agricultural tariff concession, something that was not mentioned in the original agreement. The next day, there was another quiet rollback, where the White House reversed the changes and the references to certain pulses, however, was removed. Let's get connected with Rishabh on this development. Rishabh, these quiet changes may have a noticeable impact and effect as far as when it comes to a joint statement was concerned. Now, if US is doing this quietly, is the authorities back in India and the government in the know of these quiet changes and retractions that is now being done on part of the US? Because this is a joint statement, no less.
Well, definitely. See, the fact sheet was a departure from the joint statement. The joint statement had certain things that were agreed upon. The fact sheets mentioned certain things that were not agreed upon, or the wordings at least were not agreed upon. There are three changes that happened from the fact sheet that was released on 9th of February and the fact sheet that has been amended on 10th of February. The first was the mention of certain pulses in the agricultural non-tariff exemptions, which included the certain pulses that has been scrubbed from the fact sheet. The second, the wording. India has committed to purchase of about 500 billion USD, has now, the wordings have changed to, has intended to. So that is something that is very, very important. Third, in the same bullet point, if you see, on the 9th of February, it included agriculture. Now, on the 10th of February, the word agriculture is missing from the intended purchase list in the 500 billion USD intentions that India has shown. So the three important changes, but the major question is why such certain changes were made without keeping the joint statement in consideration, and how things changed. Why it was made is very clear. Because US wanted that. India did not agree upon it. Why things changed within 24 hours? Because Rajesh Agrawal, the trade secretary here in India, and his team ensured that they speak to their counterparts and get the amendments made, ensuring that the fact sheet mirrors what the joint statement says. So definitely, it might not have come in the public sphere, but Indian government continues to ensure that whatever has been agreed upon, the joint statement, the fact sheet, or mirror everything that has been agreed upon and nothing that has not been agreed upon.
Absolutely.
So the commitment has converted.
Well, the commitment that has been done must stay. There shouldn't be any changes, isn't it, Srinjoy? Because pulses are a sensitive sector in India, the world's largest producer and consumer of the crop, including, lentils and chickpeas and dry beans. And this removal suggests that has New Delhi successfully, pushed back when it comes to the very characterization of this fact sheet that was initially released.
First of all, India has always made it very clear that agriculture was one area where there could be no insertions. And India does not expect any agricultural produce, or at least the ones it does not want to come to India, to protect 60% of its population. Agriculture and dairy are no-nos. And why? Because 60% of India's population is in the rural sector. If there is a huge import at low prices, if there is dumping of agricultural goods, then very clearly the rural sector will suffer, there will be job loss, and there will be tremendous turmoil in the rural areas. Now, that is not something India wants, and India had made it very clear that agriculture and dairy were no-no. regardless of that, these little things were inserted. They, it has to be said, were not direct, broad insertions, but peripheral ones. Nevertheless, they were. Now, they have been removed. It's a clear sign that India's determination to have its own way as far as this trade deal is concerned has worked as far as this is concerned.
All right, but Shinjoy, there is another, as far as the paragraphs that seems to differ from the one that was mentioned in the 6th of February joint statement. And if Rishabh can take that question, because key terms of the interim agreement between India and US, there was another one, intends to buy more American products rather than committed to buy. This language have seen, significant changes as far as when it comes to the 7th of February joint statement that was announced by both countries. The word agriculture seems to have also been removed from the product purchase list. So all of these other matters now seems to be resolved now, Rishabh, because there hasn't been immediate comment coming in on the White House on these revisions that seems to have been made.
Well, definitely, these changes were made very quietly. First, the fact sheet came in on 9th of February, created uproar here in the domestic polity as well. Opposition went berserk on the government, saying that, we have, compromised with the rights and welfare of our farmers. Certain pulses, mention of agriculture are something that should not have happened. Now the fact sheet has been tweaked, and tweaked very quietly. Within 24 hours, the certain pulses point has been removed. The agriculture has been dropped. The wordings of committed to has been changed to the intended to. So these are something that the Indian negotiating team has done very impressively, not making public hangama around it,
yes,
but quietly ensuring that US comes to the table and follows the line that the joint statement has. So now the fact sheet, if you see, mirrors what the joint statement has. And
all
that's
right.
the reason
So it seems that New Delhi has resisted opening its agricultural sector because of the move that may intensify pressure on some of its domestic farmers in highly competitive market. But however, it seems that all of these retractions that now seem, New Delhi seems to have been successful when it comes to putting it, point across. Thank you very much, Shinjoy and Rishabh, for joining us here on the broadcast. Let's in the meantime